right, guys, I have another video here, and today, if you don't know about the great news today, the Supreme Court has just overturned about several hours ago. It didn't just happen. It's not breaking news per se, but it certainly happened today. The Supreme Court turned over a 50-year federal law that gave women the right to abort. This was the Roe versus Wade. It was just overturned 5-4, I believe it is, in favor of overturning Roe versus Wade. So this is a big win for the Christian worldview as far as protecting the life of babies, protecting innocent life and those who cannot speak for themselves. So big ups to the Supreme Court for taking a bold stand in this particular area of discussion, because a lot of times they're afraid to do so. They're afraid of the crowd, the masses. And for a minute there, I thought they were going to back out on their initial decision because of the leak of the decision some months ago. I thought they were going to back out because they got scared and was receiving threats. Even Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh had someone actually attempt to murder him. Went to his house and attempted to murder him. And I am glad that they were not persuaded or intimidated by these crazy radicals. So yeah, the Supreme Court has overturned a 50-year law that was in place that gave a constitutional right to women able to abort their children at any point in abortion. So that said, today I'm going to go over some of the reactions from some of these celebrities out there. Right, as we know, they are the celebrities are the main ones pushing this nonsense, and they are making arguments and claims that are not valid because they fail to understand that those who God has created, they are made in the image of God. And so babies in the womb, even in the womb, are made in the image of God. And so because of that, they have the right to life. And so the only one that has the right to take that life is God. He is the only one that has the right to take the life of a baby or an adult. But these individuals, these females out there who are just getting abortions because out of convenience, because babies are an inconvenience to them, they do not have the right to abort their children. So we are going to get into some of these celebrities that call themselves upset about these abortions. So I have here several tweets that are bookmarked, and so I'm going to go through these tweets, and so we're going to dive into this real quick. But before we do that, make sure that you are subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you can stay in the loop with the God's Truth has going on. You don't want to miss out on anything the God's Truth has going on. Hit that subscribe and that notification bell so you will be in the loop. I have a whole bunch of debates and interviews that are coming up soon, so make sure you are in tune with what the God's Truth has going on. All right, so that said, we are going to jump into this first one, and this is by Padma Lakshmi, I believe her name is, and she is an actress. And so she says people will still get abortions. These procedures won't stop just because Roe versus Wade is overturned. This will only prevent safe legal abortions from taking place. All right, so the standard that she is using is obviously invalid. The standard is not our standard. It is God who has the standard. And so according to God's standard, there is no such thing as a legal abortion. All right, there is no such thing as a safe abortion. All these things are born to the body, right? When you snatch a baby out of the womb, regardless if it's in a hospital, in a clean facility, or regardless if it's in some black market, dark shadowed abortion clinic, it doesn't matter. To snatch a baby out of the womb is devastating to the woman's body. It causes all kinds of problems, and if you get enough abortions, it can actually make you sterile to where you cannot have babies at all. So the very fact that a woman can get an abortion either in the back alleys or in a hospital does not make a difference, because it is not safe regardless. So that is ridiculous. That makes no sense, and the argument is invalid. All right. And so the idea of a legal abortion is abhorrent to the Lord, because once again, the idea of a legal abortion assumes that the babies are not human. And so it also assumes that it's just a simple health checkup, if you will, or it's something that a woman does all the time. It's their right. It's their legal right to have reproductive health. No, this is not reproductive health in any stretch of the imagination here. This is clearly, and especially in the eyes of God, this is illegal. This is not something that's a health concern. This is something that's done out of inconvenience for the woman. And so 90% and 95% of the abortions are definitely inconveniences of the woman. And so this is not good. Or even a man, it could be inconvenience for him, and he could force an abortion onto the woman as well. So it's not just a woman. But this idea that it's a legal abortion, that's a nonsensical statement. There's no such thing as a legal abortion. All right. Okay, so we have a next one here. Elizabeth Banks says, this is devastating news for families, men and women, who believe the government should not decide when and with whom they can become parents. This is not the end of the fight for human rights. First and foremost, if you have a problem with not wanting to become a family or have a family too soon, how about you keep your legs closed and keep the little man in the pants, for lack of a better words. Women, you can control yourself. Man, you can control yourselves as well. When you decide to have intercourse with someone, you are making a willful decision to burden the possible outcomes of that intercourse. And obviously, one of the possible outcomes is pregnancy. So you cannot get mad and complain if you get pregnant. It was a decision that you made to sleep with someone, and so therefore you are opening yourself up to the possibilities of becoming a parent early. If you don't want that possibility, I suggest you keep your legs closed, and I suggest that the man keep their genitalia in their pants so that they will not risk the opportunity or the possible outcome of becoming parents. And then she finally says, this is not the end of this fight for human rights. First of all, killing another human being is not a human right. It is not a human right. It is actually illegal to murder. So that is not a right. While you can do it upon your own action and own will, upon your own free will, you can take someone's life, yeah, but you are to suffer the consequences of that action. So it's not this idea that you have a human right to abort other people or to kill and murder other people. You don't. You actually do not. The fact is that you do not have the right to murder. That is not a human right. So Elizabeth comes back and says, everybody gets a gun, but nobody gets bodily autonomy. This is a false comparison here. The reason it's false is because she assumes that the baby is a part of her body, or the baby is a part of the woman's body. The fact is that babies are separate from the woman's body. The baby has its own autonomy, its own body. So you're not violating the autonomy of someone, or you're not violating the autonomy or the right to have autonomy over the woman's body. When you do an abortion, you're actually violating the autonomy of the baby. So this argument is absolutely absurd. Everybody gets a right, but nobody gets body autonomy. It's a ridiculous statement, and it's a ridiculous statement, and it just shows the ignorance of these radical individuals who are pro-abortion. And you got Taylor Swift. I think everyone knows who Taylor Swift is. Taylor Swift is a musical artist, a very popular one at that. She calls herself retweeting Michelle Obama's letter concerning this subject and the outcome of the Supreme Court ruling. And I'll read that in a minute. But Taylor Swift says, I'm absolutely terrified that this is where we are. That after so many decades of people fighting for women's rights to their own bodies, today's decision has stripped us of that. Well, first of all, once again, like I said to Elizabeth just a minute ago, you're not fighting for the right of your body. You're fighting for the right to murder. And that is not a right that anybody has. No one has the right to murder. I don't know what's wrong with these people. These people will birth out a child and say, and is the baby still a part of your body at that point? No, the baby has its own autonomy. The baby has its own body. And because the baby has its own body, the baby has its own rights to life. The Bible is extremely clear on this. God made us in his image. And because we're made in his image, we're made with value. We're valuable. And because of that, he owns us. And God is the only one that could take life. And outside of God's right to take life, there is no one else who has the right right to take life. So when someone says that they are fighting for the rights of their own body, it's an absurd statement, because the baby has its own body, and thus no one has the right to take the life of someone else. And if you do, you're considered a murderer. And if you're a murderer, you need to be held legally for your actions. Okay. And so I'll read Mrs. Obama, Michelle Obama's letter here soon. And you know LeBron James had to jump into the fray, didn't you? LeBron James could not miss an opportunity. So he retweets, oh, it's absolutely about power and control. No, it isn't, LeBron. It really isn't. It's about doing the right thing, about allowing people, not allowing people to murder. That's what it's about. People are not allowed to murder other human beings. All right. And this tweet says, if this was about babies, there would be universal health care, free education, free daycare. Southern states would be doing all they can to stop the drop of Black maternal mortality rate. This is about power and control. I'm not even going to respond to Derek A statements, because I think it's a red herring and it's not dealing with the issue at hand. The point is that no one is allowed to murder. It is not the federal state's right to mandate or allow people to be murdered. That is the problem, and that's the problem. The fundamental problem is that people do not see babies in the womb as human beings, and this is a flawed concept because of the total depraved state that these individuals are in. And this is a problem, and the problem always hovers around the concept of sin. These people are dead in their trespasses, dead in their sins, and so they fail to see the value of a baby's life until it actually comes out the womb, and perhaps perhaps at that point they're able to value the baby's life. But even then, some people are still, even at birth, they're able to kill the baby. And that's when some people was attributing. One person is Hillary Clinton, if you remember, during her campaign against Trump. Trump actually brought that up, that one of her issues was that she was for the right to abort a baby at 9 months, which is absolutely absurd for someone to abort their child at 9 months. It is it's a human at conception, but my goodness, when the baby starts moving and about to come out of the birth canal, you still want to kill the baby? That is absolutely evil, absolutely evil. And LeBron James and this person Derek shares the same cup of tea, because they're both totally depraved and have an evil heart and an evil mind to suggest such a thing. And Viola Davis, who is an actress, I think she's a very good actress. If you haven't seen the show The Help, the movie The Help, you're missing out on a great movie. She did a fantastic job, but she shares the same sentiments as these previous individuals, chatters or tweeters. And she says, so it goes, gut it. Now more than ever, we have to use our voice and power, we the people. And this is and once again, they're failing to understand the fundamental concept of life right here, right? Babies are alive. Babies have life and they have the right to live. There's no one that can come around and just take the life because they feel that it's an inconvenience. All right. And I wish these people would understand that the circumstances, understand why people are getting abortions. 90 to 95% of people are getting abortions out of inconvenience. A lot of people like to bring up these other percentages and say, well, what if someone gets raped? What if someone gets raped by their uncle and incest and things like that, and they get pregnant? While those are obviously real issues and should be tackled accordingly, the vast majority of these issues hover around inconvenience. That's the majority of the reason why they get abortions, is due to inconvenience. And because of that, they murder. No one should be allowed to murder out of inconvenience, especially. And murder is wrong across the board anyway. So regardless if it's by incest, regardless if it's by rape, regardless if it's an inconvenience, it's all murder. And the baby is completely innocent of your ill-advised decisions as it concerns abortions or concerns getting pregnant through just regular sexual intercourse without any rapes or incest like that. Obviously, rape or incest are things that happen against someone's will, right? No one's desiring that. They're taken advantage of. They're victims. So I'm not making light of that, but for the individuals, the 90 and 95% of the individuals who get pregnant and they are doing it, they get pregnant because they decide to be intimate with somebody and it's an inconvenience to have a baby. those individuals are definitely out of line, and they're out of line, and they're murderers. And the ones who get abortion through the rape or incest are also murderers, right? And so this idea of just this whimsical idea of the voice, we need to raise our voice and power, we the people. No, it should have never been a right in the first place to be able to get abortion. And plus, the Constitution of the United States never states that you have the right to murder. It never says the right to murder, never. So they need to stop it. It never says that. So I don't know where they're getting this argument. And then Mr. Barack Obama, the former president, has his say so as well. Across the country, states have already passed bills restricting choice. If you're looking for ways to respond, yada, 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 and many others, groups have been sounding the alarm on the issue for years and will continue to be on the front lines of the fight. Join with the activists who've been sounding the alarm on abortion access for years and act. Stand with them at a local protest. Volunteer with one of their organizations. Knock on the doors for a candidate you believe in. Vote on or before November 8th in every other election, because in the end, if we want judges who will protect all and not just some of our rights, then we got to elect officials committed to doing the same thing, or doing the same. And so once again, Barack Obama makes the same failure to understand that it's not a right to murder. It is simply not a right to murder. And Barack Obama is one of the most pro-abortion presidents to ever have the seat as president in the United States. I mean, if there's any president in the United States who was pro-abortion, this guy sets the standard. He is the standard of a pro-abortion president. All right. And so it is absolutely ridiculous for him to open his mouth about this subject at all, because he is the number one president with the most aggressive approach to abortion. And so a lot of people love this guy. I love Barack Obama. They love the things that he done. I, for one, can't stand the guy just for the simple fact of his stance on abortion. All right. And so all this activist stuff, it's not even about rights. This is not about rights. You do not have the right to abort and kill children. It never was in the Constitution. It never was in our Bill of Rights. And therefore, there is no right. All right. And then when we look at the objective standard that God sets forth, there's obviously no right to take a life, an innocent life at that. All right. And then Barack Obama continues. Today, the Supreme Court not only reversed nearly 50 years of precedents, it relegated the most intensely personal decisions someone can make to the whims of politicians and ideologies, attacking the essential freedom of millions of America. No one's attacking any freedoms. From my recollection is that every woman has the same rights. Everyone has the same rights. This is an invalid argument. No right has been taken away from women at all. Okay, because no one has the right to murder. This should not even been a law in the first place, because once again, babies are alive in the womb, right? After 2 weeks of pregnancy, you see the heartbeat, right? So this idea that babies are not babies in the womb, they're not human beings in the womb, is absolutely absurd. And so once again, Barack Obama falls flat on his face, as he's done concerning this subject tons of times, and no one's attacking the essential freedoms of millions of Americans, because every American has the right to do as they please, but they do not have the right to murder. Okay. All right, so we're here at Michelle Obama's letter here, and so I'm going to make this bigger so we can read and see what it says. It says, I am heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for people around this country who just lost a fundamental right to make informed decisions about their own body. One, it's not a fundamental right, and two, it's not your own body. When a woman gets an abortion, they are hedging they're forcing themselves on the baby, right? They are saying you do not deserve to live. So they are allowing the doctor to reach in there with forceps and snatch the baby out of their womb piece by piece. So it's not their own body. They are violating the body of an autonomous being, someone who has their own autonomy, that has their own heartbeat. that has her own feet, that has her own hands, that has her own eyes, and so forth and so forth. They're not violating their own body. They're violating the body of the baby. So that's ridiculous. I am heartbroken that we may now be destined to learn the painful lessons of a time before Roe was made law of the land. A time when women risk losing their lives, getting illegal abortions, and it's because they're risking their lives for something that should have never been illegal anyway. How about, once again, how about people close their legs? How about that? How about people put their genitalia back in their pants? How about that? How about people abstain from being sexually intimate before they are married? Oh my goodness, what an idea. What an idea, right? That's an incredible idea. How about that? People abstain from being intimate before they get married. Put the responsibility where it lands. So too many times we see individuals like Michelle Obama and all these other ones, other people who don't put the responsibility where it lands. And so we have statements like this: getting illegal abortion shouldn't even be a thing, because people should not be intimate before they're married and if they're not ready to have a family. A time when the government denied women the control over the reproductive functions. Nobody's denying you government a right. You can go get an inspection of that area. You can go do everything. No, nobody's denying your right, but you don't have the right to kill babies. Simple as that. Force them to move forward with pregnancies they didn't want and then abandon them once their babies were born. And that's a moral issue with the woman. That is a moral issue with the woman. If she feels she wants to abandon the pregnancy, if she feels she wants to do that, that is a problem with her. That's her problem. She needs to come to Christ. She needs to repent. For anyone that has the audacity to abandon a baby. And once again, most pregnancies happen when two individuals decide to be intimate. 95% of the pregnancies are those who decide to be intimate and get pregnant out of it. And so they're being selfish. It's an inconvenience to them. And because they don't want to burden the responsibilities of their action of being intimate with somebody, they rather just get rid of the baby and abandon the baby or kill the baby. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's not this innocent, I don't want it, I'm innocent. No, it is not. It's not that. It's not that at all, the way Michelle Obama is painting this. This is what our mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers lived through, and now here we are. The mothers, great-grandmothers, and great-grandmothers, or the grandmothers and great-grandmothers actually appreciated children. It is this generation that is repulsive. They are the ones that like to kill children. They're the ones that like all of this stuff. It is this generation that does this nonsense, okay? Because back in the day, great-grandmothers and great-great-grandmothers and grandmothers were having like 6, 7 children, 8 children. I mean, a family full of children. So they weren't the ones doing this. It's only these current generation and probably the generation prior that did this. So this idea that it's just a great-grandmother and a grandmother, we're fighting for it, it's an absurd statement. She goes on, so yes, I'm heartbroken for the teenage girl full of zest and promise who won't be able to finish school or live a life she wants because her state controls her reproductive decisions. For the mother of a non-viable pregnancy who is now forced to bring that pregnancy to term. Not what? That's an absurd statement. Once again, the state does not control, it's not controlling your reproductive decisions. They're not controlling it. You can go get checked out. You can go do everything that you need to do to make sure down there works correctly. But you do not have the right to murder a child. That's the only thing. You do not have the right to kill children, because that's what you're doing. And then what's funny is that she says the teenage girls and all this are full of zest and promise. How are you going to have such your heart broken over teenage girls when those teenage girls were once children in the womb? Do they only become valuable to you once they're out the womb, Miss Obama? Is that the problem? This whole idea is a big old contradiction. She contradicts herself of having a heart broken for the teenage girls, but don't have a care for the children that's in the womb. Very, very ridiculous, right? For the mother of a non-viable pregnancy who is now forced to bring the pregnancy. For the parents watching their child's future evaporate before their eyes. For the healthcare workers who can no longer help them without risking jail time. Yeah, of course, they need to go to jail. If you are assisting in murder, you need to go to jail. If someone walks to a clinic and decides to get an abortion, they're murderers, so they need to go to jail. They need to be held legally responsible for their actions. Simple as that. That's the end of the story. When we and what else? And the funny thing is that she says also the future. She talks about the future. The parents watching the children. The future evaporate. Well, the parents have to raise their children right. And control their activities, because the problem is that these children are going out and being sexually intimate and promiscuous with individuals and getting pregnant. That's a problem of the parents and the child. That is not a problem. That is not the problem of the baby. So you're going to kill the baby because of the child that made an ill-advised decision, because they're doing things that open up the possibility of being getting pregnant. It's ridiculous. When we don't understand our history, we are doomed to repeat this mistake. It is this country, our futures are tied together in a delicate tapestry that each have a hand in making. Too often, cynicism and indifference make us feel like we don't have any say in weaving it. But that couldn't be further from the truth. That we more allow pessimism, the more we allow pessimism to push us further into helplessness, the less we will be empowered to help create kind of country we want to live. The horrifying decision will have devastating consequences. Only devastating consequences to those who don't know how to keep their legs closed. For those who appreciate life, and those who value life, and those who understand that babies are made in the image of God, it won't devastate them. For those who are responsible with their bodies and don't be intimate before they're ready to marry, until they're married, it won't bother them because they're doing it responsibly. It's only those who are irresponsible and careless, who don't understand that people are made in the image of God, babies are made in the image of God, are the ones that's going to have a problem. And then at the end of it all, they're totally depraved. They need Christ. Simple as that. All right, so I'm going to conclude that. And we have one basketball player, Josh Hart. He played for the Lakers. How is our country going moving backwards? This is the last one, guys. Moving backward, the country is moving forward. Definitely on this. It's moving forward. This is a good move, Josh Hart. And so I'm not going to waste any more time going through these tweets, because these tweets are ridiculous. As always, they're ridiculous. And so as we marinate on this, guys, as we consider this and think about this, let's pray for these individuals who are on the other side of the fence, who are contemplating or upset or frustrated at the very fact they can't kill their babies no more. We need to pray for them. We need to pray that salvation come to them quickly, because God's wrath is on them and they need to be saved. And these are individuals. Majority of all these individuals are the ones that's on the left, they're radical, and these individuals are outside of the body of Christ. So let's make sure we are praying for them. Make sure that we are taking this thing serious. And if anyone runs into any of these celebrities that have these problems, make sure you're preaching the gospel to them, because that's what they need to hear. All right, that's all I have for you today. And I thank you for joining me once again. Make sure, if you have yet to do so, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay in the loop with what the God's truth has going on. And make sure you are in lock and key. Don't miss out on any shows. All right, take care and God bless.